people that are renowned in the arts. And I mean, this is a gift and a blessing to have all these people sitting here today before you. But I'm not even qualified to introduce them. So I'm going to bring up Sister April Silver, who is a young, old person, young in her age, but old in her expertise and excellence of her field. She is April Silver, social entrepreneur, activist, writer. She also heads Aquila Worksong Incorporated, a communication and agency headquartered in New York, right here in Brooklyn, founded in 1993, byproduct of the festival. The agency specializes in public relations, marketing, and programming for the arts and activism field. Sister April is the PR person for the festival. She's done it numerous times, but the last 2 years, she's really been taking a lot of weight off of me as chairperson. And next year, we already talking about it. We already have a vision for next year. And all the publicity you see, she screens it, she pushes it out. And so she is really a gift, a boon, as they say. So let's welcome Sister April Silver.
Peace, family. I'm going to ask the panelists you might want to spread out, because we have 4 on this side and 1 on this side, because I've been asked now to moderate the panel as opposed to sit on the panel. So that means there's an empty seat if you want to spread out. So that was my first house cleaning order of business. And I want to say thank you and welcome to everyone. We're going to move through this component a little bit quickly, so I'll ask you to bear with me as I just do some brief introductions, and we'll have the panelists talk about their work, talk about why they feel that culture is important, and then we will do a Q&A, yes? Okay. So, and I'll throw a personal note in there if I may, so I don't, bore you with anything that I may have to read. But I want to introduce Brother Carl Clay here. I don't think he knows, but I first met you indirectly through Dougie Fresh, I think in the late 80s or early 90s, when I was a student at Howard University and you two were doing some work together. I was the assistant for Dougie Fresh, the rapper. And so this brother we know has been an anchor in the cultural arts, Black Spectrum Theater out of Queens. So we have a lot of respect for your work and your consistency. So can we just, before he speaks, can we give Brother Carl Clay a round of appreciation? We have right next to him, Daia, I always get the order mixed up, Lomax Sanyusi, who, yes, this sister has been on the airwaves for at least 10 years, making sure that we're very clear about our culture, the connection between art and music, and knowledge and community, currently now at WHCR. I have to say, a wonderful colleague to me and to my team at Aquila, because whenever we have something to share, she opens up the platforms, the airwaves, and there's not a conversation that we have that I don't learn something, you don't learn something. So can we give her a round of appreciation as well, Daia? Thank you. And tell me if right, and Joyce reminds us. Because of WBAI, though she's currently at WHCR, she's celebrating 20 years. I think that deserves 20 years in radio, broadcast radio. In the age of digital technology, we thank you. We thank you very much. We have Brother Norman Connors. Now, we've not met, right? The legendary Norman Connors, who is going to be on stage in just a little while at the main stage at Festival. If I can add this personal note, when we coordinated an interview for you to be on WHCR recently, I think it's noteworthy to say that when you work with some artists, they're all about what they're doing, their agenda, their work. But when you have an artist who is so on point about the larger issue at hand, which is the promotion of African culture, when we went to Mr. Connors and said, can you give us something positive to say about Festival that we can share with the world, without hesitation and with the greatest level of accuracy, he was so easy to work with and letting the world know that the beauty of African culture is at our disposal and is manifested here. And just, we know what it's like to work with artists, and you don't find that. So can we thank Brother Norman Connors for standing up for us? Because in the music business, you have choices, and that includes not standing up for us. So we thank you for being aligned and being so wonderful to work with. Thank you. Wow, I'm gonna skip over to, I don't know. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. This is what you get for working with Brother Segun. You just get fuzzy in the head and you're just exhausted. Anaji Gomes, we want to thank you for being on the panel, for your work as a musician, as an artist as well. He is steady on the path, making sure that not just from art, from a music standpoint, but that we're clear about the world that we live in, feeding us with information. If you get his Facebook posts, his emails, he's keeping us steady on the course. So I wanted to save Nana Camille for last, because she is not simply the elder amongst us who is celebrating 81 years on planet Earth. That deserves a round of applause. And you know, we should know about the age, right? We should know about that eldership, but consistently for more than 50 years, as you all know, Nana Camille has been at the forefront of keeping us grounded in our humanity as an African people through so many different genres. I could go on, but I think it's important that we stand up and give the panel a round of applause and show our appreciation before they start talking, because they could not be here. So Nana Camille. Okay. So thank you for that, for honoring. Brother Norman Connors, I'm going to ask if you go first, and if you could share your thoughts on arts and culture and music before you head to the stage. I'm going to ask you to go first, if that's okay. Yeah. So do you want them to come?
No, I don't want to go first. Let somebody else go first.
Come on, Carl. Come on. Talk about what you do.
Oh, okay, so we're going to switch the order up. Then we're asking the panelists to give their thoughts about why they are in this field, why they've made decisions to use art and culture for our progressive development, and in what ways you have found that to be challenging, and in what ways you found that to be rewarding. Okay, thanks.
Okay. First of all, how many of you have ever been to Black Spectrum Theater in Queens? Okay. And how many of you have never been anywhere before? Okay, all right. Well, we are a 45-year-old community-based institution. I'm the theater's founder, and we are proud of the work that we've done over the years. More importantly, we're proud of our work because it continues a long tradition of making sure that artists have a place to express themselves, to present their ideas and display their talent. So the idea that we can do this for 45 years is even mind-blowing to me. The whole idea of culture in our communities is now more important than ever because, you know, years ago when everybody was, I'll say when some people were struggling to make things happen and some people weren't, the reality is that there was a lot of emphasis on, I'll say de-emphasis on how important culture was. I think as time has gone on, we've come to realize that it's really the essence of what holds everything together. It's our traditions, it's our history, it is the way we do things, and that makes us different in a way. And every people's on the planet Earth, they have a certain way of doing things. And it's our way of doing things and our history and our culture that keeps us whole. So before I go any further, one thing I always like to speak about is the fact that I've seen a lot of artists who have started their development at a certain point, and some have continued that work, and some of them have given up. And I think the reason why some artists give up in this society is because they have an illusionary perception of what success is, what victory is, what consistency is. And so they buy into this idea that if I don't have a hit record, if I don't have a hit play, and by hit, we always have to say compared to what, okay? Cannonball Adderley just talked about it a long time ago, compared to what? But if they don't have that, if their perception is not the hit record, not the hit play, not the hit, dance group or something, then they see that as a failure of their art. And so I've seen a lot of people fall down along the way. And I think that that's one of the things that culture does, is it allows us to make sure that we maintain and understand that it is a long distance run. It's a continuum of our art. It's what comes from within. And so I really want to emphasize that, because I've seen a lot of artists self-destruct. And so the fact is that in 2015, more than ever, we have to start right at the beginning. And where's the beginning? In our schools, in our communities. We have to start making sure that young people understand this culture and this art right from the beginning. I think in years past, we kind of skipped over that and said, well, this is for the older folks. This is for, not everybody's done it. I know the East had a long history of starting at the very beginning. I know that there are a number of arts institutions that did that. But by and large, a lot of people skipped over that. So 2015 means, it should mean, that we're starting this idea of supporting and making sure that we develop our artists and their love of their own culture from day one, so that when they get to day number 21 or year 21 or year 51 or year 61 or 71, they are still on the same connection as to who we are. Does that make any sense? Make a lot of sense? So what do I see as things that are important today in terms of arts and culture? We talk about show business. We have to talk about arts business, because for some reason, everybody believes that art should be free. There's a big belief in that. And so we have many starving artists who are, making do with what they have, but we don't have enough people who are in other walks of life who love themselves enough to be able to support the artist. And am I talking correctly, Brother Rome Neal over there? All right? It is imperative. A lot of people say, I talk to filmmakers, painters, musicians, and a lot of folks say, well, you know, we're trying to raise this money. We're trying to raise this money to do this particular project. And the first thing they go to is, well, I'm going to NBC, I'm going to Warner Brothers, I'm going here, and that's all good. But what you don't hear enough is that I'm being supported by people who look like me. And so it really deals with a basic understanding of loving yourself enough to support a reflection of you. So by and large, whether we're talking about Mexicans, Jews, white folks, you know, I don't care who it is, when people support their own, they support it from a love of who they are. It's a reflection of who you are. So this is a call out to all of our business community people, all of our educators and medical people, people in social services, that in order to create works that are important and that are a reflection of us, you got to put something in the kitty somewhere. You got to put something in the kitty. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir here because most of you are here because you support culture. But I challenge everybody to go out and really push this whole idea that when African American artists and our people come with these projects that are legitimate, where folks have a track record of producing and making stuff, that you put something in the kitty, and it's whatever you can. I can't stress that enough. You know, Brother Rome Neal over here has been doing banana pudding for a long time. It's a jazz program, and you know, we put something in the kitty always to try to help out, but there's not enough people. I mean, he has a long list of people who support him, but I'm saying he shouldn't be wanting for anything because he has such a long commitment of making sure that the music continues and that artists are recognized. So he's just one example of all the artists that are out here in our community. So try to make that an agenda. When you have a chance to speak before your school boards and your medical associations and your business communities and so forth, have them put these artists to work, because artists are not free. They have to live, they have to be able to produce, to be able to reflect what's in your head and what's going on in the rest of the community. I'm going to pass it on.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We're going to keep that rhythm going, and we're going to bring up Sister Zaya, and she's going to give us about 5 minutes or so. Same commentary, why you've decided to be in the arts and why is that important?
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful question. Why? You know, why do we do what we do? Why are we who we are? It's because the universe has created us to be such. And so we are. And it has certainly been my privilege to discover myself as a broadcaster, starting out as a visual artist, illustrating, because it kind of runs in the family, and then somewhere along the line, developing, this love for the media. But what the media gives us an opportunity to do with our music, with our image, with our dance, with our creativity, is to deliver a message of hope. It's our message that we can survive, that the legacy of us as a race woman or race man is worthy of being honored. It is something that has given life to us and sustains us and has brought us so far, has brought us this far. It's really a privilege to have sacrificed, have volunteered. You know, WBAI didn't pay, except for a very few of us. My BAI sister in the house, And WHCR doesn't either. So you rob Peter to pay Paul to make it along until you ground yourself in examples like Brother Rome Neal, where you create an institution, you develop sponsors, but it is always a give and take. Whatever you receive in terms of the ability to sustain yourself in the arts, you are giving life and pride and an example that we can win. You know, my new motto is to go back to Curtis Mayfield and spread it all across the country that we are a winner. And I expect us to do everything in our power to win, to support ourselves financially, spiritually, through forgiveness and love, and support of the arts and the sciences, and to just, keep on strengthening us for our greatest success. So that's my little, thank you. Peace and blessings. Hetep
The arts helps us to understand that we can win. That's very powerful. Thank you. Thank you. We want to bring up, before we get into the Q&A, Brother Onaje Allen Gums, who has an illustrious career as an arranger who we know is going to drop some science. We want to ask if you could share your thoughts about why you've decided to take the stances that you do around art and culture.
Thank you. The reason I do what I do, and also honored to be here with the other panelists, is because art, music, dance, theater, movies is about culture. And culture is about people, all people. You see, I can look at the sun, I can look at the stars anytime I want. There are people who can't. So we talk about the people on the outside. We don't talk enough about the people on the inside, meaning in jail, wrongfully and unlawfully imprisoned. One of the things I have to do as an artist is that I'm able to reach out. I myself have reached out, if some of you follow my Facebook, I reached out to a young man who became my nephew. His name is Darryl Lomax. And he is on death row at San Quentin in California. And I'm trying to do my best to help the brother get out. I'll read this short thing. He wrote a long thing, but I'll read it short. My name is Darryl Lomax, AKA Malik Hassan. I'm currently on California's death row at San Quentin State Prison for the crime of murder with special circumstance of which I did not commit. Despite July 1st, 2010 State Supreme Court's denied relief on the Dyer appeal and August 11, 2010 petition for review, which is invalid as a matter of law, but the trial court remains in criminal contempt of the Court of Appeals on March 1995. He has been in jail since 1995 because of the corruption that exists in the judicial system on the part of defense and prosecution. They got a person to falsify testimony that kept him in prison. So yes, my music is very, very, very important to me. But a certain amount of activism on the part of artists, whenever they want to bring something to a point, they always have a concert. They always have, a rock concert, an R&B concert. I'm known as a jazz musician. I never see them call a jazz musician to be one of these concerts that helps a forum or helps a platform to be looked at. So I can't wait for someone to call me I will call them. I knew about this brother, Darrell Lomax, Malik Hassan, for a couple of years, okay? But then I always give people a birthday greeting when they have their birthdays. Well, it turned out this year, he said, how can I get in touch with you? And I didn't ignore it. I took the opportunity to connect with him. I've talked to him almost every day since I've known him and connected with him, you see. And that's something we need to be aware of, okay? All the things the young lady, Jamila, had talked about earlier, they're all about the people outside, all about us outside, what we can do. But what can we do? Because he has taught me. He's 20 years my junior, and he's taught me so much. Okay, he knows about law. He could be a lawyer right now because he took the initiative to learn about law while he was in prison, you see. So, you know, I even told him, and he texted me. I said I was going to be in this panel. And he said, thank you, Unc. One love. Call me when the panel is over. You see, so he's very much involved. And also, he understands that he's not the only one. There are thousands of people. So what does he do? He shares the information he gets with the other prisoners to help them stand up, to help them be activists, even in his confined quarters. So I'm determined that he's going to see the sun anytime he wants. I'm determined he can smell the flowers anytime he wants. They can touch, you know, his family anytime he wants. That's why I do what I do.
Thank you. We don't have too many artists running to activism. Thank you. Brother Norman Carnes, if I could bring you on. We know you have to get to the stage. Can we, yes, give him a round of applause.
How's everybody doing? It's good to be in Brooklyn. Every time I come to Brooklyn, it gives me the feeling of, remember the East? You remember the East, right? I get that feeling. I get that feeling of the East. And the East was the kind of place that I was very, very young when I first started coming. Was I a teenager at that time or what? But anyway, I first started coming with Carlos Garnett and then Pharoah Sanders, and then I started coming on my own. And that was the place that the food was good, the people were beautiful, beautiful women, beautiful ladies, beautiful brothers. The education was great. It was just a beautiful spiritual feeling. And I get the same feeling in this room. And I get the same feeling at the festival. This festival is that same feeling. So I just want to say, I think the festival and places like the East and places like this, and people like Onaji and the people in this panel and the panel before us, is like the epitome of togetherness. And I got to leave and I got to get ready to perform, but I'm just glad to be here. Thank you very much.
We can do better than that, family. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We're going to make sure that you get a chance to see all of the performances for the rest of the day. But on that note, we want to ask Nana Camille Yarbrough to come and continue to feed us about art and culture and why you've made a decision to be so committed all these years to us and to the culture. Can we welcome her to the mic, family? Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm sitting there listening and watching. And it goes over again and again in my head how magnificent a people we are. I'm not saying that just to make you feel good or say something nice. But we have been through so much, and yet we are not a giving up people. And before we go on, I want to do a couple of things. One thing is, I want you to ululate with me. You know, April, you know about this. Because it has something to do with vibration in the air. And because we've been taken out of our motherland and out of our own rhythms, sometimes we take on other people's rhythms, other people's vibrations. And I like to ululate because it trembles the air back to who we are. So ululation is just the breathing in and wait a minute, hold back. I know. Right after three. After three, are you ready? All you have to do is breathe in here, hold it, and let it out. Let the tongue flick. We're ready. 3 times. And don't you feel better? Let's do it some again. And one last time. Now, in most of the ancient rituals, they had to go here. They had to go to that particular gland. And it always opens up with a high pitch. And so this is something we have to kind of reserve. We have to bring it back. I know in churches, sisters used to get up and shout, right? And dance. Somehow now we're too sophisticated in many churches. We don't do our happy dance. And we must bring back those old ways to us. So we gave praise, we changed the vibration a little bit. Before I go on, I want to give some praise to Sister April Silva, who has been in this community talking about arts and activism for a long time. And artists, just reminding artists that we have to be, it's in our nature to be activists. Going way back on the walls of the pyramids, you can see artists working. And what are they doing? What does the wisdom coming from Kemet say to us? It says, first, know yourself. And that's hard to do because sometimes we get involved in what somebody else thinks of us and what somebody said and all of that. And then our self-esteem, just as the psychiatrist laid out to us, because of the terror of enslavement, our self-esteem maybe has gone down a little bit. I was walking down 125th Street the other day, and I saw such disarray. The culture ain't there anymore. It's just commodity. It's selling things and things. 15 years ago, it didn't take long, I used to rush out of my house just to walk on 125th Street. Because it was like a diaspora all there. People from all the islands, people from here, people from Africans from everywhere were there with things that they had created or with books of wisdom, not street literature, talking about booty and hole and dog. That is not what we were saying 15, 20 years ago. What happened? What happened? The artist happened. The movement was too strong. We opened too many doors of racism and stepped in where we should be. Because they know that when we are in, when we are ourselves, there's nobody who can compare with us. And so they had to close those doors. Sisters here is on the radio. What happened to Gary Bird, who was on 5 days a week, and now he's on maybe 2 hours on Sunday? What happened Mr. Bob Law, who used to have a show called Respect Yourself. What happened to that? What happened to bitter men, bitter men? What happened to the songs that Aretha sang? What happened to Nina Simone? There's a film out now. What happened, Miss Simone? Well, we need to study what happened to Nina Simone and all those other artists whose names we don't know, who paid the price for respecting themselves, who used to walk down the street in their gaylays and whatever else dress they had, and everybody else would move to the side. We didn't do anything to them. We didn't say we are superior, get off the sidewalk, as they told our people in the South. And as my father told us, they had to get off the sidewalk in Alabama when white people came by. We didn't do that. We just went back to our culture, the strength and the beauty of African culture. And we wore it, and we walked it, and we talked it, and we sang it, and we danced it. And then what happened? They said, no more of that. And so when these young brothers up in the Bronx came together and said, we're going to do our poetry, we're going to rhyme, we're going to get some beats and everything, we're going to talk about the sisters nicely, we're going to talk about what's happening in America, what's happening around the world, those people in authority said, no, you won't. You won't do that anymore. We had enough during the civil rights movement. You opened too many doors in the civil rights movement. You stood up too straight during the civil rights movement. And so we're going to go over to the porno film. And we're going to bring some directors from porno into hip hop. And that's when you begin to see the booty shaking, tits and asses. The language changed. Remember, we couldn't even curse in front of our elders in Chicago on the South Side. There was a time when you just didn't do that. There was a time when the sisters came by, the men took off their hats. Said, hi, sister. Bowed a little bit, gave respect. There was a time when that was happening. Wasn't that long ago. But they took the genius that our young people had created called hip-hop and switched it and turned it into something that we do not recognize as our own hardly anymore. We look at them and we say, that's genius, but why are they talking that way? Why do we see our young people who come out with all these gifts can dance their butts off, dance and sing, and suddenly they just taking off their shirts and doing all of this and doing everything else that this society says, don't think much of yourself. You're just an organ. You're just something for us to use. You're just a sex machine. And I'm not putting our brother down by writing that song. But it's up to you. It's up to us. Why do we accept this? It's up to the elders who know better, but who see our youth saying things and acting ways and don't say anything. And I understand, because they're scary. Some of them, they don't have that respect. So you say something to them, they be on your case, reading you. But guess what? We have to do it anyhow. We have to do what Harriet Tubman said do. After she had risked her life bringing our people up from the South, came here to New York. They gave a party for her, the abolitionists. Said, Harriet, you did this. We have a place for you to rest. Don't you want to sit down? And she said, no, I've got to do it again. And 19 times she went down into the South and brought up people, including her parents. Not only that, joined the Union Army and as a spy, and went down on the plantation and told the people with those gunboats. And guess what? Who was with her when she went down there? Black soldiers who used to be enslaved. But they too said, this is not me. I'm not a slave. They too said, I'm going to come back and help my people. I'm not just going to go someplace else. And they went down there in uniforms and with guns. And our people on the plantation who never thought that would happen looked at them and said, oh, it's possible. Those dreams that they had deeply inside of them came out. But guess who was helping them along the way? Guess who was helping them in those fields? It was singers. It was the storytellers who told them, oh yeah, I remember when we were home. And they had proverbs that they shared with them. One proverb was, a great tree might fall into some swampy waters and stay there for a long time. But no matter how long that great tree stayed in those swampy waters, it would never become a crocodile. Okay? They stayed in the muddy waters of enslavement for a long time, but we are still African people. We are still African people, and we have to praise that. Walk down the street the way we used to walk down the street. When you see people on television talking about, I ain't no African American, I'm just an American, you got to write in, you got to call in, you got to protest, you got to say, stop that lie. It's foolishness. It's very strange that this little sister who used to be on Cosby show, who was so cute and we loved her, and that show was great. I don't know what Cosby did, but I know he did that show, and that show was magnificent. It was the good models were in that show. So anyhow, she gets on television and she says that I'm an American, I'm not an African American. The next day in New York, big parade coming up Fifth Avenue. Italian Americans hollering, I'm Italian American, kiss me. A little while later, another big parade coming up Fifth Avenue. Irish Americans reclaiming their Irishness. I'm Irish. All over New York City, there are holidays where people stand up and claim who they are, their ancestry. What happened to us? They killed our story. The teachers not allowed to teach it the way they should in school. You mothers, you grandmothers and grandfathers, go to the schools. Get down there to that mayor. I know we're working on the mayor, but he's not doing it the way he should. Teachers should be able to teach our culture in school and teach it properly. When I was in school, they said, Old Black Joe. That's a song we had to learn. I'm a-coming with the head on bowed down low. Stupid things which were supposed to make us feel bad, and we did feel badly. We felt something was wrong with us. We weren't good enough. But then there was somebody else. There were sisters. People think of Josephine Baker as a sexy symbol singing in France and all of that stuff. Sister came to Chicago and said, America's not teaching black people, treating black people right. On the stage, she said, you have to change that. She did other things so bad that they put her out of the country. They said, you're a communist. You can't talk like this anymore. We had people before. So let us give thanks to all those people before who stood up, all the artists. You don't think of her as anything, but Lena Horne did too. She stood up. Many of them stood up and said, no, you have to stop this. I said, what was it? What's McCall who sang that song? Bid 'em in. Who's that? Oscar Brown Jr. We didn't think about slavery. He said, no, bid 'em in. What was he bidding in? The sisters up there in slavery. Catherine Dunham did a ballet on lynching. They never forgave her for that. All the dance companies got funding from the government. She didn't get a penny. When we were in Lebanon, opening, she had 48 people in that company. The government came to her and said, no, we don't want you to open now because we have this two-people dance group from America, two white dancers. We want them to open. So you with your 48 people, with all that expense and everything, no, you wait. When we had to work in the Army barracks, in the Army giving shows for the Army, they put us in barracks. Just put her, the star of the show. She was in a barrack on a cot. When they had movie stars there, they had big houses they put them in. So all of this, and I'm just saying a little bit, let me get back to the fact that the artists kept us alive, kept the movement alive. The artists brought the movement into our homes every day. When people were killed, when Emmett Till was killed, and I'm saying right now, when the brother in Staten Island was choked to death, when brothers and sisters all over this country right now are being murdered, We need to go back to that old African thing that we had. It's still there. It doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave us, people. Be quiet sometimes. Everybody's talking about meditating. That's good, meditation. But you know what our people used to do, especially our women? They used to hum. And people would say, stop that humming. They used to get whipped for humming because they started a little rock and a little Oh, yeah, yeah. They used to come from the outside and listen to our people sing at night when they had a few times. But that's how they saved themselves. They sang and they danced. Now, people say dancing and singing is just, nothing to do. I'm going to get off in a minute. I'm sorry. But have any of you ever done this in your dance? Up at City College, there was a professor came from Ghana. And he told us that in the old ways in Ghana, when they did this, it means I'm bringing you to me, I'm bringing you to me, I'm bringing you to me. And when you come to me, if you're good, but if you come to me after doing this and you're bad, out. What is this? We do it all. We do this. What is this? Are you strong? Let's bring it back. Let's bring this back. Unity. Let's bring some of these things. Give this to our children. When you see them with Asian symbols tattooed on their beautiful skin, when you see that, tell them, no, we got some nice symbols that you could put on your body. You don't have to go to Asia. You go to Africa and put them on your body. So please focus again. Our artists need your help because our people need the help of the artists. When you see them not giving substance to you, when the music does not go deep inside as the spirituals used to do, stop it. The music is not on the right vibration. Bring it back. How come we have great artists today who never play spirituals? Spirituals was accumulated genius of thousands of years of development. It was soul music. What happened to soul? We don't even say soul anymore. What happened to that? Come on, people. Come on, energize again. Get that energy we used to have so that when you walk down the street, people say, oh, that's a person. That's a real let me talk to them. Let us talk again about sister. Hey, sister, what's happening, brother man? Huh? Let's talk like that instead of the nigger and the dog. All of that created by people who were in survival mode. They didn't know they were just surviving saying those things. But we have to change it. I want to thank the International African Arts Festival for inviting me, allowing me to be here with these guests, with these brilliant artists. I know there's so much more I want to say, but I can't say it, can I, April? Thank you. Madase P. Thank you.
Come on, let's hear it. Camille Yarborough, Onaje Allen Gomes, Norman Connors,
Wait a minute.
Daia.
Wait a minute.
We're going to give you more time, don't worry.
Wait a minute.
Carl Clay
Wait
and
a minute.
April Silver.
Something I didn't do. This is business. My books. The Shimmy Shine Queens. My books. Cornrows. My books. Tamika and the Wisdom Rings.
Let me hold.
Artists are poor.
Yeah.
No, I'm not poor.
Let me push this. I got this here.
Okay.
All right, you need to buy this literature from her You need to go out to the festival, enjoy, support the artists. We're going to take questions and answers. We got about 5-10 minutes. We're not finished, but I want to tell you a little story. About 3-4 years ago, my daughter told me, I don't even remember this, that I brought her this book, Cornrows, and it just changed her, she said, forever. It had a profound effect on her, her willingness to accept her Africanness and her natural beauty as an African. So, I mean, we have to, this is healing for us. This is how we combat that psychological damage that's happening to us that Sister Jamila was talking about. So we must support our artists and what they give us because it keeps us sane as black people. So we have a few minutes for questions and answers. April, you can sit up here. You still in this. Come on. Questions? Question? Anybody? Oh, no.
Yeah, hi. I'm glad y'all came, you know what I'm saying? I used to wanting to be a rapper. But yeah, thank you. The arts, man, I'm telling you. And I got something for you. But I just want to say that in the original world, like art was supposed to be done for free. You know what I'm saying? So you can really catch what's going on. But the racism, right, which is the child abuse syndrome, they never get help for it. So they be making up all this stuff, right, and have us all up in bondage and stuff, you know?
Okay.
They never got help for the child abuse syndrome, and they don't want to get help, but they want to run the country. So we suffering.
Thank you, Sante. Appreciate it, bro. Any questions? Come on now. You know, these are geniuses you have here. Tap it. So, brother Onaje Allen Gomes, I remember this brother. Okay. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when you played the East, and I'm sorry. I'm talking about you too. You played the East. Yeah. Okay, but you played the East. I remember you. Yeah. But so I wanted you to talk about your perception of music in terms of creating and arranging, because you're a brilliant composer and arranger, and you're known by your peers for that. So I want you to share that with us. And how did you get into music? What's your...
Hello? Yeah, I've been in music since I was 7 years old, and my mother encouraged me. And playing at the East, especially with the black light. How many remember the black lights in the East that shined in your face? Okay, it was an incredible healing situation, and the music that you can't touch, you can't hold in your hand, you can't put on the mantle. It is spiritual and his vibrations, and what we need is to have the music that brings those vibrations, that we really bring what we get from it. I feel that the industry has put too much emphasis on the artist and not what the people get from the artist. And as far as the generational situation, I came with a concept back in 2012, 2013, of bringing artists together as young as 16, as old as 80, to play together, to be on the same stage, you know, with jazz, hip hop, contemporary jazz, R&B, vocals, instrumentals, electric, acoustic. We're all about all of that, African, and even dance. And I think that we are in a position, a great position, to really bring those elements together that impact on our lives, whether we want to recognize it or not. Because if there was a day without music, it would be the day, how many watched The Walking Dead? It would look like that if there was no music. Then after that, the planet would probably implode on itself. So, although it's been minimalized in our schools and to our children to the point they even have eliminated it, we need our music. We need the music to bring that healing vibration to our bodies and to our very being and to our core, to our hearts. Because the heart doesn't know the difference between jazz and classical and funk. It just knows what it feels. Makes you feel like dancing, or makes you snapping your fingers. The heart knows. Okay, the mind comes second. So the arranging is just trying to emphasize those vibrations through using strings, using horns, using piano, using the rhythm section to emphasize the vibration that exists out there that comes to the arrangers to put in perspective and for people to enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to thank all the panelists again for your presentations. I enjoyed them all. And one quick question. What's the best way to combat the negativity in commercial rap? What's the best way we, as the part of the community, could combat the negativity that's in commercial rap?
Don't buy it. And seek out, support, and find a way to financially finance artists who represent the essence of hip hop. There is a difference, clearly. You made the distinction between commercial rap and hip hop. So don't buy the commercial rap, which is detrimental to our soul and to our artistry. Buy, support, seek out, promote, proactively. Don't wait for them to find you. You find them, the independent artists who are hip hop artists. I think it's as simple as that.
Along with that, I feel that when you have our kids, and they will listen to the music, it's an opening for dialogue. You know, I remember Bill Cosby saying, if we hear the rap, shut it off. No, you want to connect with your children. Why do they like what they listen to? Then bring them alternatives. What they think they don't like, they will actually love. But it starts with having dialogue, bringing an educative format to your child. Okay? Know who they listen to. Know who the artists are they love. And then have a dialogue with them. Then let them know what you listen to. And you'll find that they may, oh, I kind of like that. And start to bring them along and start to not separate so much, which is what has happened to the society. Separate this, separate this, separate that. We don't need that. Okay? That's what I mean.
Any more questions? Yes, sir. Loud, loud, please. Come on, you can use the mic.
All of our art form was a form of resistance, but especially our music. So I'd like the panelists to talk about how was our music used as a form of resistance. I think Sister Yarborough talked about how it was a healing process and it helped us get through the enslavement period and other periods. But could we talk a little bit more about how music is used or was used as a form of resistance to our enslavement period and other periods?
There are many ways, but nothing is simple. Going back over the, well, I went to a conference a couple of years ago, and there was a man there who said, we got to kill Whitey. We just got to kill him. And then he went through a list of ways to do it. There was a professor there who looked at him and he said, you know, Nat Turner didn't tell everybody he was going to kill him. He just did. What it says, what I'm saying, is that there are different ways to resist. When our enslaved ancestors said, when they were forced to be humble, forced. And that's one thing we need to do is, just like the other people do around the country, they go through the atrocities that have happened to them and they put it in your face. Look what they did to us and trying to still do. Because it explains how we are today. What we have to do is tell what the people said, I'm sitting in a humble chair. This is enslaved people. I'm going to sit in this humble chair that you put me in, but I'm going to rock from side to side. I'm going to rock from side to side, and I'm going to do it until I'm dead. Before they're dead, they have made that chair weaker. You have to do everything you can do in order. Now, the singers, how many songs didn't say, I'm going to kill you? But they were strengthening our people in other ways. Strengthen our people. That's the best way of fighting racism and resistance. If you know who you are, you're not going to let anybody mess with you. I was looking at the film on Muhammad Ali the other day. He would not let anybody tell him he's not great. And we have to adopt that. How can somebody tell us we don't deserve something? Just stand. As this other song says, stand, that gospel song. They try to knock you down, stand. If you have to call them a name after this, you say something, just stand and do what you do. Support your people. I'm trying to think of other songs. There were many. All of those songs that were in the civil rights movement, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. That's a spiritual. That's a song of resistance. When you got a chain around your neck and around your arms and people are beating you and shooting you and you say ain't gonna let nobody turn you around, isn't that a song of resistance? When it says, that is fighting the power. You can say fight the power right now. Or what's that thing about black bodies matter? And you can take it further than that. But don't think that all songs of resistance are going to be, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to attack you. Because there are many ways of bringing down the beast. There are many ways of doing it. One, and I'm going to say not because these people are sitting in front of me, but Kwanzaa is one of them. The principles of Kwanzaa, all of them are battle weapons. And people are talking about Kwanzaa. Well, the man who did it, he did this years ago. I don't care. Kwanzaa is a weapon. Kwanzaa is a tool. And we have to utilize it. Be there with your children. Explain to them what it's about. Tell them our history. Tell them what they did to us, and then tell them how we stood up in spite of what they did to us. That's your battle song. When Aretha said respect, she wasn't talking about the movement, but she was. When Nina Simone said Mississippi, goddamn, what was that? There were other songs during that period, which pull them up, talk about them, bring them back to our children. Our children need to see Ferguson, goddamn, excuse me. All those things. So resistance, you can do it in many ways. Some people, Mark, cool. They don't let nothing stop them. They just keep going their way. Other people do a little dance. Other people jump. But as long as they're going in the same direction, that's what matters. Okay? Thank you.
there's so many ways to remember the songs that mean so much to us and give us life. But you can go to YouTube and you can pull them up. You can have a phrase or an artist you think of, and you can put it in, and it will come up and it will revive you. If you tape record it, you can share it with someone in the family. You can go to CD Baby, iTunes, so many places, Amazon, and you can pull down some of the great pieces of music that have meant so much to us, you know. In the radio program that I produce at WHCR, and you can get it at WHCR.org, I am somehow committed to the raising of our consciousness through the music of Pharoah Sanders and the crew. You know, John Coltrane is my muse, and Miles comes very quietly to me and, you know, in a silent way gives me strength and a path to a great level of consciousness. And our quiet passion and our betcha by golly wow. Well, at WHCR in the Gardens of Tranquility and Contemplation, Onaje Allen Gums, the brilliant musician, composer, lyricist, arranger, and promoter of great talents, Dennis Collins and Gregory Generay and, you know, Phyllis Hyman and that's Allison Williams. I mean, the list goes on. Onaje can tell you. He comes to WHCR and he is family to us. We are family to him as well. And as family, we communicate the message of all the beauty and the brilliance that is truly ours. And let me just give my brother a plug. Bruce George has a new product. It's called Genius is Common. That is his, that's his little thing. He's trademarking it. He's got a stamp to it. Genius is common, and it is common amongst our family. It runs in our family, so.
Closing remark, because we have to close out. We passed our time from Brother Carl Clay. Black Spectrum Theater, yes, sir.
I was just going to say that, you know, resistance comes in all forms, but from a theater standpoint, I'm reminded of a play by Joseph Walker, The River Niger. And in that play, what he said was, every person has their own battleground. Everybody fights in a different way. And so, you know, we all have to, that has to be an internal process of how you go about trying to change your community. I think Onaje said it this afternoon, being able to change yourself and deal with the inside. Sister Yarborough was talking about our ability to not forget where we come from and why are certain things that were very wholesome and very nurturing for us, why are they disappearing? I think that as we continue to go through this life in 2015 and start looking at the future, the one thing that I think is crucial is for us to make sure that these children are nurtured in the right way and that they are brought along in a way that's going to basically allow them to understand how they can survive. We're talking about survival methods and things that are going to allow them to deal with all of the stuff that's going to be thrown at them. If we think it was tough where we came from, it's going to be even tougher as we go forward, because it will not only be a matter of what this society is doing to us, but it will also be what this earth is reacting to. There are some who say the earth is alive. I believe that the earth is alive, and this reaction that it takes to all the things going on is a cleansing process. So we have to be able to teach these children how to deal with all of that. With that said, I want to thank the International African Arts Festival for putting on such a symposium, and you become the the bearers of good news as you go out into the friends and the community that you work in to try to spread the message of some of what you heard here today. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you, Segun.
Okay, come on, y'all. For the whole panel, Brother Onaje Allen Gomes, Camille Yarbrough, Daia Paul Clay, April Silvers, and Norman Connors, who's going to be playing in about 20 minutes. So we're going to ask you to remain standing. We're going to do Seven Harambe for the Nguzo Saba. We say that's the moral minimum that black people need to rescue and reconstruct their history and humanity. So we're going to all stand and raise our right hand, and we're going to say the Nguzo Saba, and then we're going to pull down 7 times so we can pull together around the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles. So I'm going to say it in English. I'm going to say it in Swahili, and then in English. You repeat after me both times. For Umoja. Okay, I know we're a little winded now, you know, but we got to be loud. We got to make some noise. They got to hear you outside. Umoja. Unity. Kujichagulia. Self-determination. Ujima. Collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa. Cooperative economics. Nia. Purpose. Kuumba. Creativity. And Imani. Faith. So we say faith in our Creator, faith in our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our children, our youth, our future. Faith in all that makes us beautiful and strong. Faith that through hard work, long struggle, and a whole lot of love and understanding, we can again step back on the stage of human history as a free, proud, and productive people. I'll say Jale too. That means 1, 2, 3. Each time you pull down, you say Harambe. The last one you hold as long as you can and as loud as you can. And you can't start out soft. Guys, start out strong and end up strong. Otherwise, we start all over. Jale 2. Harambe! 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 Yeah. And I don't mean that like, oh, it's in the mail. I mean, we really should put it in for $250. I got in my car.
Oh, I'm bad.